Howdy, everybody. Welcome on into the cargo bay. We've got something a little different for you today. We recorded this conversation last week with our new buddy Mike from Not Sports Cards. Part one of that conversation is up on his channel and will be linked in the description below. Not Sports Cards, great YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out. Mike has a different perspective on collecting and a lot of expertise that we don't necessarily have here in the cargo bay. So be sure to check that channel out. But before we get there, I did just want to mention that we got new details on the 2023 top Star Wars flagship product here. We got images. I believe that there are blasters available for pre-order already, maybe more than that by now. And then, of course, don't forget you have the throwback set up. We got a new set of that up on the Topps website, and of course the living set cards. There's a lot of news we're missing this week, but we'll be back next week for a regular Hobby Talk episode. But until then, here's our conversation with Mike. Hope you enjoy. Let me start that right now by saying, hey, everybody, welcome on into the cargo bay for this half of the episode. We are joined by Mike from Not Sports Cards on YouTube. Very glad to have you here. You were gracious enough to have us on your show, and here we are.
So happy to be here. We ran longer on my show because I'm just not the best host. I was like, oh, we'll just cut in the middle, and there we are running for an hour long because that's what I do. I run my mouth, but
we're talking cards.
I'm super excited to be here. I told these guys when we popped up on Discord, I was like, I'm looking at two YouTube celebrities to me. Like, it's so weird. It really is. It's weird to me. I'm like, I watch these guys all the time, and it's not something where I'm like, hey, I want to, figure out a way to cross brand and whatever. I'm like, no, these guys are making awesome Star Wars card content. They love Star Wars cards. They come from a completely different angle. I'm like, I want to talk to them. So I reached out to you guys, and I'm so excited to be on the Cargo Bay Pod. I can't imagine, I'm going to pull up YouTube and it's like, wait, I'm on that show now? So,
well, the feeling is mutual. We're glad to have, I would consider you an expert, at least compared to myself, in Star Wars card collecting. We're glad to have you here on the Cargo Bay, and I guess we'll just start peppering you with questions, if that's all right.
Sure. I would just say that I am, it's what happens in this world. If you speak you're an authority on something, it comes off like you are. But I get put in my place all the time. I'm like, they didn't even make hobby boxes that year. And somebody's like, yeah, they did. Here they are. I have 4 of them. They made hobby boxes.
It turns out they did.
It is a shame how much product there is out there. I've had that happen many times where I'm just like, here's a fact, and immediately, the comment section is like, actually, idiot, that's not true at all.
It's not a fact.
If you've been trying to buy something for 2 years and it never came up for sale, you just assume it didn't exist. In this case, it was Star Wars Rebels. There are hobby boxes. Never seen one for sale. So,
wow.
The mythical Rebels hobby box, yeah. I've seen some blasters out there. They pop every once in a while. I see the fat packs that come up, but very rare to see the hobby box.
I love Rebels. Love Rebels.
You and me both, brother. It is on any given day my favorite Star Wars.
I just watched the last episode the other day because I wanted to get ready for Ahsoka. I'm legitimately tearing up at the end when Sabine's doing and the Empire fell, and or it wasn't. Is it Sabine who's doing it? Yeah, it's Sabine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rebels is
like the epilogue. Yeah.
Rebels slipped completely under my radar when it was coming out. I knew it existed. I think I was busy with life things, and that was a real treat for me to watch on BC's suggestion. And those cards, that was something that we kind of early on in collecting, looking at Clone Wars and Rebels, early releases, being like, oh, this stuff is out there. And that absolutely, those have gone up in value some since we started.
I brought some cards.
I love that.
I love it. I've got they make rainbow foil of that set. It is the only parallel. It's hard to see, but I've got.
Oh yeah.
Not shining. There are no Heras. None of the main Ghost crew is for sale on eBay. You cannot find a rainbow foil of Kanan's. Kanan Ezra, Sabine, Zeb. I have a Zeb and a Chopper, so I'm
Nice.
super excited about that.
Yeah, that's rad.
I think I think I have an Agent Callus foil was the one foily version of the character inserts that I got. But we found those were one of the early things that we started looking for was that's the one. Yeah.
Rad car
Um,
design.
yeah, that they look really cool. I mean, we found the Clone Wars, the movie Clone Wars stuff and the stickers because you talk about first appearance. I was like, what's Ahsoka's? Where do I find early Ahsoka stuff? Because like coming from rookie cards and sports cards, first appearance in comic books, I was like, let me go and find the early Ahsoka stuff because she's one of my favorite characters, and I just want to have that in my personal collection. So I got into the stickers and just the paper set pretty early on whenever we first started opening.
This is, widely considered Ahsoka's rookie card.
This one right here, yours is a little fancier because it's graded.
This way, on my channel, anybody who would watch my channel, this was like this is how to print money for the last year. Go buy these sets.
Yeah.
$11, you can buy the whole set of these. They won't come high graded, but man, you can get every rookie from that for $11, and they're not going to last forever. But yeah, that's just, and I don't own it. Like the rarest Ahsoka card, there are a serial numbered parallel Ahsoka at a 205, which is the rarest Ahsoka, and I had hoped to try to buy one. That is the only card that I would break my wallet open for. Can't get it. I know a guy who has two. He wants to sell the whole set. Ooh. And man, it's just too much money. It's just so again, these cameras are terrible for this because
it's so impossible to get cards to show up well on camera.
Yeah, so this is the Anakin foil out of 205.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, listen, guys, we talked about it. It's like I'm not trying to hobby shame guys. Like we were talking earlier, and you said a $60 card is like a crazy amount of money. The first time I spent $60 on a card, I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't know what I was doing. And the only that I've been able to do it is again buying and selling cards, where I buy a card for $20, sell one for 40, and then eventually it's like, okay, I just sold a card for 100, so I can buy a card for 100. And anybody can do it. Like if you want to put the effort and time in, it's out there, but that doesn't mean go out, spend a bunch of money, and that'll happen. It's hard. It takes. I happen to enjoy, logging the hours scrolling through eBay. How many cards have we looked through on eBay? Like if I got paid by the hour for how many cards I've looked at, it wouldn't be a good thing. But anyway, you guys, I want to show one more card because we're talking about Ahsoka. This is Ahsoka's.
We just talked about that card today. We did a video that will have been published before we dish out this video on Ahsoka cards, and I love that character set from Mando season 2. And boy, oh boy, I looked for a parallel of that one that I could snag and did not find it.
They're not out there. I got lucky. The guy who sold it is a vintage guy, and I had sold one of my Ahsoka regular one. I actually had another Ahsoka. I sold it and bought that one, and Sue was super happy. But yeah. Oh, again, we're talking Rebels cards. I got talked into buying this recently. This is the Ezra auto.
Nice.
I know almost nothing about this set. I mean, I see it all the time, but I don't think I've ever held one.
Yeah, that's high tech. I know nothing about it. I got talked into buying it because I got convinced that, I like rookie cards. And somebody said, well, if it's from the same year, it's a rookie. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, if it didn't, I had two guys going, no, that's a rookie auto of Ezra. I'm like, it's numbered out of 50. I'm like, how do I not buy it? They're like, I don't know. If you're not going to buy it, I'm going to buy it. I'm like, okay, but I don't agree. Like, that's one of those things where I believe that a rookie or first appearance has to come from a box that is solely devoted to that thing. So, only Rebel rookies come out of the Rebel box, not anything else. And I know I might be on my own here, but there are other collectors that differ from me. But as I often say, is who gets to make the rules about this stuff? We
The
do.
people on the eBay listings who I love an eBay listing when it comes up and it's like blah 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 rookie omega blah blah, it's like all caps, and it's like, oh, if it's got too many keywords I'm not gonna be able to afford it, am I?
Might
Yeah.
pass that one.
Yeah. By the way, that's another. Hey, we'll give tips on people. One of the best ways to make money on eBay, not when you're flipping cards, is people do really bad listings. You buy a card like where they put the set in the wrong place and whatever. I buy the card. I literally just make a normal listing and I sell it for double because people overdo it. Like I put rookie card RC first appearance. It's like people just like tune out of that stuff a lot of times. Our eyes are trained into doing other things. But man, I
I've
had a
used to
thought.
typo search on eBay for specific cards, to see, hey, is there a Luke that's spelled with 2 U's out there somewhere? I can.
For $1.
You guys both have to send me your address because I have some. I'm going to send you some cards because, like, first off,
Sounds great.
I mean, you're both like
Twist our arms, okay.
well, if listen, there are certain cards you should not be like. I don't. Even me as I've collected a lot of vintage stuff. Like you should have a 1977 Star Wars number 58 Han Solo, right? Like you have to own one. And I was at a convention last year, and a guy was selling them for $1. And I was like, so I bought, like, I didn't care if it had a hole in it. I didn't care what it was.
It's a blaster shot.
Yeah. It was like, I'm buying these and I'm giving them away. And I think whatever I bought, I'm giving away. So I'll dig one up for each of you guys. And so you can have one. It's not about, hey, it's going to be worth a lot of money. But if you're a Star Wars collector, that's a card to own. Like that is
Star Wars, that'd be incredible.
And would be very grateful for that. Speaking of Card Zone, you asked us in the part 1 of this video over on your channel what some of our Grail cards, what we're still searching for. Now you mentioned you would break open the bank for the Ahsoka card. Are there any other cards that it's like it's right there, you've seen it in front of you, you haven't been able to get it, that's like this is the keystone, this is what will complete the collection?
The answer to that, like the Ahsoka out of 205, like is the closest thing, and I've talked about it many times, but I don't know about that. Nothing that is press the buy button on eBay. You know what I mean? Like I got lucky enough a few months ago. Again, sold a card. Was like, hey, I really want this Cassian Andor gold, and you couldn't buy one. A guy was selling a set. But it didn't have a gin, it didn't have a saw. I was like, this is the only way I'm ever going to get it. And I got it for way low. And I was like, I got these cards and I'm like, oh my God, they're beautiful. And I'm not that type of guy. Like I have like a collection on my desk, and like now I have like most of those cards up there. So getting the gin and the saw from that set are probably the other side of that. But, and the other things I'd say is that we were talking about the rainbow foil Rebels. I would really like a rainbow foil Ezra, and I just don't know. So those are the cards that I want. But like, I've stopped I want a PSA 10 and not a PSA 9 game because I don't really. I've done a lot. I stopped doing stuff on PSA on my channel because it really made me feel negative. Like I can't look. I mean, I have a lot of cards. And I can't look at an 8 and a 9 and really tell the difference for the most part. So I'm not gonna, the difference between a PSA 8 Luke Skywalker 90 and 77 and a 9 is an 8 goes for about 1,000 and a 9 goes for about 5. So I'm not going to pay $4,000 more because somebody thinks this corner is a little sharper. It's just
yeah.
Again, if there were like factual stuff, or it was like, here we have artificial intelligence, here's the score out of 1,000. Like I just see some guy blowing dust off it, going, "That looks like a 9 to me."
That's
so. Go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry.
The only time I've ever cared about like a 9 versus a 10 versus an 8 is specifically in Chrome cards. You get those print lines all the time, and I sent a submission to SGC, and I got a card back as a 9, and I was like, uh-oh, this didn't look like a 9 to me. There's a lot of issues here. So I don't know. Yeah, I've never held much, I guess, faith in the perfect grade or whatever. But I do like a 7 or above is nice, There's
The
Yeah,
vintage is really hard. Like I don't know if you guys have ever watched this. There's a guy who has a channel. He stopped posting, but his name is Edub, and he's called Edub Ripping Stuff. He ripped every box of 1977, and he did his 77 Series 1 in like, I think he did like 4 or 5 parts. He pulled 6 Lukes out of a box. He didn't get above a 7. I mean, you watched him pull them out of a box, rubber gloves, penny sleeve, off the PSA. So you get a little more appreciation, kind of. But so the vintage stuff, I like to look at it in a nice card. I want it to be bright. I want it to be centered. I don't want it to be dinged. But other than that, there's a PSA 9 Luke up for sale right now. And I'm like, that looks like a couple 7s I have. So on the modern stuff, I don't think it matters as much. But the older stuff, I think there's a bigger disparity because they just couldn't print cards very well 45 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the technology was not as good. Like the first time I saw like a PSA in hand, like I'd seen PSA graded cards before online, but my dad has a like vintage baseball collection from when he was a kid, and he took pretty good care of it considering a lot of those cards ended up in bicycle spokes and stuff. So he did it like he did a PSA submission. He figured all that stuff out. And whenever I went and visited him, he was showing me like, here's my, Willie Mays as a 5. I was like, that's awesome, right? Like to have a card from the 60s that's still in even the condition of a 5 that if you hold it has the eye appeal that's like, that passes muster for me. I was like, it gave me so much appreciation for lower graded cards, especially in vintage, because like, there's history to this. The fact that like this still exists in even this condition is amazing. You know what I mean? Compared to what a lot of them ended up looking like. And even then, like the history of those vintage cards still holds like sentimental value too. And the eye appeal too of like, there's a journey, there's a story. This was part of someone's previous collection and now it's here and it survived,
It's a place in time. I think I use a lot of numbers on my channel, and you guys are more like talking general stuff, and that's why I like watching your stuff because it's so different than mine. But when I'm looking at PSA stuff, like I go back and I look at like what is the median grade, right? It's like of all the cards graded, like what is right in the middle, not So like for that card, the 77 Skywalker, like a 6 or a 7 is kind of in the middle. Where the modern card, like if you have a 6 or a 7, that's
you got to work at it.
That's a bummer. It's a mega bummer.
I want to tell you guys another quick story. So I was lucky enough last year. I live in southern New Jersey. Sad enough, right? But last year the National Card Collection Convention was in Atlantic City, so I got to go.
Nice.
And I'm walking around with my Star Wars cards. There's one, maybe 2 people. And I'm over at a non-sports table, and I hear some kid go, "Oh, Star Wars cards." I said, "Where?" Oh, I heard him say, "I said, where are the Star Wars cards?" Because I thought he found them, and he's like, "No, I'm looking for them." He's like, "They have a set over there for sale with, you think it's a good deal?" And I'm like, it all depends about the Luke, right? Because the Luke is the expensive card. He's like, "Yeah, I really want a Luke Skywalker." And I'm like, I got a PSA 6 with me, and I sold it to him, and it was him and his dad. Like I met him, and I was like, I was so happy to sell it to him. I gave him a very good price, but I told him, I was like, I wish I could give this to you. It was like not the idea that I couldn't afford to give him. It's not that point. It was like, but it was like the idea of like you need to pay for the worth of it to get the value, that type of thing. But I forgot about that moment till just now, where I was like, hey, it was us 2 Star Wars collectors off to the side, or 3 of us, and I was able to transfer that value, and it was a beautiful card. Beautiful,
and it's gonna be you give a slab card to a child, it'll actually still be good. And
he was like 15, so he wasn't.
Oh, okay,
it was like, oh yeah, it was. But I forgot all about that. I was so happy to when I don't go to many shows. If I ever find the non-sports people, I always say the same thing. I was like, oh, my people, right? Like, it's a different world. But I do think that's changing, which is something we haven't touched on much in the first part. I think there are a lot of people migrating from sports to non-sports.
This is
That
a hot topic, everybody
hot
out
topic
there
alert.
in
Hot topic
TCB
alert.
land. Yeah, this is so. I imagine you're a member of Star Wars card collectors on Facebook. Am I?
Yep.
Wow.
I hate Facebook so much. I
I
don't touch my account.
I have a
So
fake account. I wonder when they're gonna kick me off of the platform. I have a fake account specifically for this Facebook group. But
Yep.
anyway, it's always a topic of conversation in there, and just kind of in the hobby in general is the invasion of sports card collectors and sometimes sports card businesses, basically sweeping into the hobby. So yeah, if you could give us your perspective on that, especially or not only Star Wars, but if you've seen it in other non-sports cards as well.
absolutely. And to give people background, like I talk a lot about Star Wars on my channel, but I talk about other cards, all different non-sports. I talk about Star Wars most is it's what I collect the most, it's what people want the most. But the truth is this is what happened to me. When the pandemic hit a little bit, I got into card collecting like I did when I was a child, but I was buying like, I'm from the Philadelphia area, so Dr. J, Allen Iverson, I mentioned Russell Westbrook. And it was okay, it was fun, but one day I saw an Obi-Wan Kenobi card up for sale and I bought it and I was like, man, I love it. And then it started to hit me. Like I had that aha moment where I was like, okay, I loved Allen Iverson. He was my favorite athlete. But like when do I watch an Allen Iverson game? Maybe every 3 years on NBA Classics. Like the odds are in the next 7 days, I'm going to watch something with Star Wars. And I'm going to go back and rewatch Breaking Bad this year, or I'm going to watch an episode of The Sopranos, or I'm going to turn on The Simpsons or Family Guy. I'm like, these are the things to me that have nostalgia and that I love and I care about. And there are cards to them. And I was like, well, it's an undiscovered country.
There he
That is
is.
there.
Little Tony Soprano right there.
Some of our first openings.
Is that,
Yeah,
is
it
that
is.
actual Tony Soprano? Is it like, does it say Anthony Soprano on it? It's hard for me to say.
This
They're
is
like-
the American Family version of Tony Soprano.
We'll go 100 different, but yes, it's a beautiful set.
Beautiful card.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Set. So it's just my opinion that it's a natural progression for people to go, okay, I really like collecting cards, but I don't, this feels like such a solved game where it's like, okay, I buy the rookie card, I got to get the number parallel, I get the rookie patch auto, I don't feel like non-sports cards is the same way. Like that it is clearly defined. What is the most valuable? What should I be collecting? And that there's been enough content. So it feels like there's much more of the adventure and the hunt than there is in sports cards. And I think there are a lot of other people who are following suit with that. And I do a lot with the numbers, as I mentioned, but you see that they are hurting non-sports a little bit in the short term by flooding the market with especially PSA slabs like you guys showed me earlier, like Ninja Turtles, that era where it's like, okay, there used to be 100 Ninja Turtle cards graded, now there are 2,000. Or Simpsons is another big part of my collection. It's like, okay, I don't get Simpsons cards graded anymore because people overgraded them. Now I'm just buying Bart Simpson slabs for $10 because I can. So, but it's happening. And I see it going more forward. Sorry, that's the topic I could talk on forever.
No, that's I had no idea that that stuff like The Simpsons had started to hit being overgraded like that. That makes sense to me. We opened some Nintendo card packs a long time ago, and I was like, these things have got to be like at some point somebody has to grade some of these. These are like peak nostalgia here.
Yeah, those Nintendo cards are awesome.
Yeah, they look great. They're super weird. The stickers are vibrant and cool.
I had graded them. And they got overgraded. I sold most of mine, but I have like a little bit older than that. Like I have Pac-Man.
Man, that's awesome looking.
And Donkey Kong. So
That's
these are like
super cool.
If these are in my office, that's because you guys talk about the visual appeal. Like it's hard to get it through, the wonders of the internet, but these just look beautiful to me. And these aren't about like the two cards I just showed you aren't incredibly valuable. They're just to my age, They're just beautiful. So but there's so much out there, right? Like you just think about, what do you love? Like I have somebody who messaged me all the time. They love Power Rangers. They're like out there buying Power Rangers cards. That doesn't mean anything to me, but if it does to you, there's something out there for you. And I think it's much more individual than, hey, I like the Boston Red Sox, I'm going to. And BC, I don't think that looks like a Brooklyn Dodgers hat, not
It's a Brooklyn cap, yeah.
Okay, so
I thought that was a B cap for BC this whole time.
It is the B stands for BC, is what it stands for, really. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that we live in a different time where that, an era ago, you couldn't watch every one of your favorite TV shows over and over again. Couldn't watch your, favorite movies over and over again. Like you could, but you didn't have every movie at the touch of your fingertips. So, and then on top of it, you have what's happening with Star Wars, where, okay, now you have all these movies, we're going to expand the universe, and we're going to make cartoons, and we're going to make TV shows. It's just more prevalent in your life, and it's just going to expand for generations. To me, I think this is why I buy and am willing to hold my cards, is that if there is a revitalization of the card market, I actually believe that non-sports cards will be close to the forefront. This past bull market you want to talk about was basketball cards led the way, and they used to be the pariah of sports cards, and then they were at the forefront. I think that's what could happen. I won't say that's what will happen.
Well, I mean, and even particularly in sports cards, so much of that was hype and the bubble that like burst. Like we can. Adam, you may not be as hip to some of the sports card stuff, but
educate me, please.
Like Zion Williamson rookie card, a base PSA 10 Prism going for 10 times what they're worth, just on pure speculation, right? Like it's so much more prevalent in sports where it's like, I'm gonna buy and invest in this rookie, but the prices that we were seeing in like 2020, late 2020, as pandemic was happening, like it just got out of control, and it felt like it started to roll into Star Wars like later, almost.
I think that happened at the Star Wars. It happen like a little bit. You guys probably are more aware of it because I think it happened more to like Galaxy than it did, and it did happen to the vintage stuff. And Star Wars is the kind of the tip of the spear for non-sports cards. I think it's for a lot of people. It's either Marvel or Star Wars.
And I think Marvel peaked first, and then it came for Star Wars.
Like the Marvel Impel sets too. Yeah, but like when we bought the Galaxy boxes, we pre-ordered them at like $100, which was like more than we were like super comfortable spending. We're like, these are going to be great. These are going to be cool. And if I'd known that they're going to sell for $700, now it's like, I never would have opened it. But it's like, I'm glad I did, and I love doing it. But it was like, seeing what happened to that set specifically after we bought those boxes for $110 or whatever it was, and the way that it just blew up like almost exponentially overnight once they started being opened was kind of crazy.
That's what happens when you have supply shock and you have demand. That's people overcomplicate this, which is there is supply and there's demand. And if there is less supply than there is demand, prices go up.
That's why I'm worried about Star Wars in the long run. My biggest skepticism with like Star Wars cards is like, if you want a Han Solo card, which is you're talking about first appearances and rookies, like that's a lot safer to me. But like, if you want a Han Solo card, they're gonna print 300 different Han Solo cards in the next 5 years. Yeah. So 20 years down the road, someone's like, what Han Solo 1 of 1 do I want? I have 5,000 to choose from, on the market or whatever. That's my biggest worry. It's we're not building sports stars here. There are occasionally new characters that are cool, and usually not.
It's what's going to happen. I mean, it's not a worry. It's like, it's what's going to happen. I mean, we were talking about the sports card boom, and like, if you look back a generation to when there was the junk wax era, you go back there, you have Shaquille O'Neal, you have Tim Duncan, you have these players that, hey, they're all-time greats, but there are just too many of them in good condition, and they're not worth anything. And it doesn't matter how good they are. and that's kind of why Topps introduced numbered cards parallels. And so yes, they will have value. The base cards will be, I don't want to say be worthless, because that's not true, because Star Wars never produced on the level of you know, a basketball or a baseball. So that's why there has that opportunity. But what you're talking about is, we were talking earlier about collector's editions. Like, I don't like the new Chrome. I don't want to buy that because I don't want the 7th version of a Chrome card of a character. It's just not. I like to, a lot of card collecting is about nostalgia. It's about pinning yourself to a place in time. And that's why I like the thing from the year it came out, like from its first time, because that's like, even we're talking about Rebels and Clone Wars. I didn't watch them until recently, but I like the idea of, hey, I got something from when the genesis of this happened. And that it just matters to me. And I think that's why I try to point collectors in that direction of exactly what you're saying. I think autographs are too plentiful. I think numbered cards are too plentiful. Just think about if, what really would be desirable if novice people came into the marketplace. What would they gravitate to when they learn a little bit? And I don't know what the answer. I mean, I do think I know what the answer is, and it's like why I was pointing out that Finn card earlier. I'm like, how we're comparing it to the sports. Finn is like a top 50 character of all time.
Mike, I lost you for just a second. Everybody out there in the cargo bay, give us just a second. Okay, I think we're back. Sorry about that.
So PBD was messing with the gears again, I think. We'll get our robot on that immediately.
Anyway, I don't want to go too, but that's why, like, I gravitate of the modern stuff. I want first appearance numbered, or I want some sort of parallel, because I don't want the 15th Han Solo card or the 20th Ezra card, and just people should be careful. Like the autos, you have, like, I love Ahsoka, but Ashley Eckstein has signed.
At least,
and we'll continue to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love her. I love Ahsoka. Go ahead.
As like the top shelf is back here, for those watching, is like my Rebels and Clone Wars autograph stuff. It's like, I'm happy that those are plentiful, because I can get a cheap autograph for like my personal display and collection, because they are so easy to find. Like, they're all mix and match from different sets, but it's like most of those I got for between $15 to $20, like they're not hard to get if you want them, which I do. Like, I like collecting autographs of specific things, but it's like they're not like crazy valuable, because they are not scarce.
There's the big upside to the downside, which is as the product gets worse and as more is printed, you still get those blasters in the store for cheaper and cheaper. that's the upside I'm looking for.
When I can buy Obi-Wan blasters for $10, I'll open a few of them. Like like that's where Boba is. Boba are like 15 now. Soon they'll be $10. You can buy a case of that.
They're gonna be giving them away shortly, I believe, because they got to clear out room in the warehouse, I feel like.
Yeah, that's what people miss, is that, hey, we've had a complete shift of they can't keep anything in stock to, well, now we're backing up. So like a lot of these businesses have to switch gears. And I think even Topps will adjust. I mean, Topps is just putting out too many sets. To put Chrome on top of Obi-Wan, and then you have Return of the Jedi coming after it. And I also need to take a step back for a second, which is like, Topps is making a mistake of Andor, which we said we were going to put off till later. They're not making a set for Andor, but they're going to make it Obi-Wan. No, actually, it's not.
Okay. Don't break my heart yet.
No, I thought you guys told me. Okay, so
we're nervous about it. We're nervous it won't be coming, but
we're just shaking our boots that they're going to see the numbers from Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. Like, do we really need to do an Andor set? And we're going to be screaming at their door, going, "Yes, you do! We're going to buy one case."
We've been saving up to buy one of your cases.
One case.
I mean, I'm obviously here for it, but like, This is something else that I mentioned recently, and you guys may remember or not. When I was a kid, cards came out when the movie came out, or when the TV show came out, or when it was popular. You don't like put it out on TV and then 18 months later release cards. Like all the promotion that you had, this is supposed to be a part of it. Like you're letting all the buzz dissipate. So now everybody's like got to try to predict, like, okay, the Ahsoka show is coming up. We got to load up on Ahsoka cards from the past to try to make money off of the Ahsoka show. Which, by the way, I'll throw this. Do you guys own any Grand Admiral Thrawn cards?
I do, yeah. I have some decent
I've got
Thrawns.
a few.
Yeah. I have one of the Galaxy 2021s, one of 99, and I've got some of the finest Thrawns.
The 96. Yeah.
But like that's how I don't know how things are gonna play out, but like that's how they've played out, which is like, okay, I hate being this way because I have my collection of the stuff I'd sell. But like right now I'll be unloading my Ahsoka cards, but I'm not really. I say that, but I'm not actually. If it were a stock, I'd be hitting the sell button pretty close to now, but that's not what it is.
Yeah, right before
like,
Obi-Wan came out was the time to sell your Obi-Wan. That was if you were gonna move some Obi-Wan.
It's a weird one. Like Obi-Wan just doesn't work because it's like he was introduced as an old man and then he became this younger guy. Now he's kind of an old man again. It's like, all right, we're on our fourth incarnation kind of Obi-Wan if you count, Clone Wars. So like, I don't know, like that, which actually brings me to another one, which is like, I think, the prequel movies do not have a lot of cards.
Yeah.
And
they do not.
And there is the idea of like, hey, that's where nostalgia may hit, which they're not only not a lot of those cards, like they're also from an era that the very first movie, Phantom Menace, was wide vision, which are disgusting. They're like, you can't put them in anything. And then you have Attack of the Clones cards, which were normal cards, and they're beautiful, but they're from an era where, if not stored properly, they brick together.
Yeah.
So getting high quality of those cards. So like, I mean, I don't like to make everything about speculation because it's not about, I only try to make money to buy more cards and buy the cards I want. But it is kind of fun trying to be ahead of the curve and being like, oh, okay, I was right. And then, so like, but I don't try to keep these secrets to myself. It's like, people often ask, like, oh, if you're going to buy a box, what would you buy? I'd be like, well, if I knew it wasn't going to be bricked, I'd buy an Attack of the Clones box. I have $150. I want a Star Wars hold for long term. 77 Star Wars PSA 6 Luke. Like they're fun ways to spend your money. But and there's like, as you can tell, there's not just one path you can go. There's a lot of different paths depending on what you like. Did you guys open any of that Clone War stuff?
I'm sure we did. We opened so many brick packs of cards from that time. A lot of Star Trek that was just trashed.
Yeah, I definitely opened multiple bricked packs from Attack of the Clones that I remember getting really good audio on the Twitch stream of just ripping them apart from one another. Which was really frustrating because the cards themselves would have been nice if they weren't welded together in the pack from all those years ago.
Like that's one of those things like, hey, you want to buy a couple cards that you'll like and they might turn out to be something good. There are a couple foil Anakins and Mace Windows that you're like, oh, okay, this is some fun stuff. So I don't know. I just think there's a lot. We were talking about just non-sports overall, and there's people should just find what they like. Like, and then like I don't know if you guys like Game of Thrones. But this is
nice. I'm a Game of Thrones. I know nothing, but that's a cool looking card though.
Well, we have to. It was 2012, so like they only came out. They only came out in hobby boxes. They only made 11,000 boxes, so there's not infinite of the Jon Snow first appearance cards. So like I bought that for $40 in a PSA 9. There's only 110 in the world. I cannot. Like whatever you like, there is some sort of way to chase it or play it or do that. But you can be wrong. Like Game of Thrones is actually something I've gotten wrong, where I overspent on Game of Thrones. I have quite a bit, and now maybe I'm being stupid by saying, "Well, I'll just buy it all when it goes for sale."
That's the knowing what you want or getting what you want is something that I really have to stick to, because I am prone to, like, I love to think that I'm going to be right about something. And I agree with you that that prequel era, those cards, like, might be a good place to stick some money. But I haven't seen the episode 2 set, but the episode 3 set is hideous to me. So even though I think it might be a good buy, I'm never going to buy it, because I only buy cards even if I'm doing it because I'm like, that's a good price on that card. I'm only gonna buy it if, at worst case, it just stays in my collection. You know, like, worst case, I'll put this on the shelf and not be upset about it.
I am a firm believer. I agree with you. I'm a firm believer also, like, in that instance, don't buy Series 3, just buy Series 2. But, like, I'm a firm believer in, like, spend 99 cents, get a card that you've never seen the set before. Like, don't go out and buy a expensive card. Like, know what they look like. Like, know whether, and I would do that with, like, there's a shop called Burbank Sports Cards, and they have, like, low shipping, and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna buy one Breaking Bad card, I'm gonna buy a Sons of Anarchy card, I'm gonna buy a Pac-Man card, and just like I ended up buying, like, a Saw Gerrera, like, numbered card, and, like, probably of the 20 cards I bought, 18 are in my collection, and I don't regret it, because I got to see it. It was like an image of a character that I liked from a show that I liked. And then, yeah, like, I did okay on the other ones, but I think that's a good way to go, like, for people to wet their feet, is to, like, just buy a card. Like, don't feel. And then the other balance of this is that people often miss. And I say to BC, I don't collect sets, but I buy sets all the time. Because, like, we talked about the Ahsoka card. If you want to buy an Ahsoka rookie right now on eBay, it's $20, but you can buy the set for 11. It makes no sense, but there's, like, kind of this diversity of the old school thinking where, hey, I have the whole set, versus the new school thinking of, I just want the rookie. And those are not the same people, and it creates opportunity. Again.
Yeah, that is wild to me, how often I've seen that as a thing of, like, oh, that card just sold for $40, even though it's, like, common in the full set.
It's so funny because, like, all right, this is what arrived in the mail today. I don't know if anybody can. This is terrible. So this is
beautiful
Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
The Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers. The two whole sets, $20, and it's, they're impossible to find. Like, go try to find a Frodo or a Gandalf or whatever, and right now in the TCG world, the Pokemon world, like, Lord of the Rings is the most popular thing. Lord of the Rings is not up there on my list of favorite movies, but for $20, I like having iconic, stuff. Again, I've done such weird stuff. Like, at the height of this, I went through and looked at what was the most popular Halloween costume for every year for the past 30 years to figure out what is going to be valuable.
Oh, I thought you just were going to say you have a big wardrobe full of
yeah, you're going to do a costume change here.
No, I own Harry Potter. I own, like, I'm huge. Like, I don't know if you guys are Marvel guys, but I am not at all a comic book guy. I love the art, but I'm BC's got something right there. What is he going to show me?
It's my Captain America. It's from Captain America: First Avenger. So his first solo movie. They did the insert set of the comic book covers. This is the only one that doesn't have, because I found this image before and it's great. It's Captain America punching out Hitler. It's fantastic. It's Jack Kirby from, like, 1944. Like, I think it may even predate that in terms of the art. But, like, found that card and was like, I love it. You can get it for $1. And I opened several packs just searching for it, just for the fun of it, because I was like, I'm a deviant. I'm like, I just want to rip packs and find it myself. And I pulled like 3 of them, and then I sent it in as part of our grading excursion. Got the 10 from SGC. I'm the only one foolish enough to have sent the $1 Captain America card to be graded by SGC. So it is like the pop one in SGC for that card. I'm like, I love it. It is my, I sit here, it is at my desk when I'm working, and, like, if I just need a little reprieve, I'm like, that card makes me happy. Like, it's on my desk, and, like, I just get a lot of joy out of that card. It's $1, and you know.
I love it. I mean, that set is like this is where we diverge. Like I'm a character, I'm a character whore. Like character, that's the best way to describe me is that I did the same thing, but I got the, Captain America card. I have the only PSA 10 Captain America card. Now there have only been 9 graded. I don't understand, right? We've got a jubillion Star Wars cards. Like I'm not even a huge Marvel guy, but like how there have been 6 Wolverine rookies graded. 6.
Yeah.
Like stuff does not make sense. When people want to be like, "Oh, this hobby, it's so hard. Everything's been picked through." I'm like, these movies were the biggest movies ever. Spider-Man 2002, the X-Men movies, Iron Man 2007. Like you can buy. I bought like a relic card with Robert Downey Jr.'s jacket from Iron Man. Like there's just cool stuff out there, and like I don't know.
My friend Adam was nice enough to send me a Paul Tuttle from American Chopper fabric and auto card. There in the not sports world, there is so much stuff for almost anything, which
was wild to find out.
Which was truly wild to find out but it makes sense. It's just such a niche part of what the trading card hobby is, but it's like I love that we have like our little carved out space for Star Wars, for those weird things, we have joked about American Chopper for like a decade now, and like he just sent them to me out of the blue. Was like, hey, there's something coming to you in the mail. It's gonna blow your mind. And it was like, where did you even find these? It's I don't know. I love knowing that these things exist.
Again, that's why I believe in non-sports, is that it is so much more of the culture. If you go back 40 years, sports was what bound us together more than TV. There wasn't as much TV. It wasn't produced in the same way. We didn't quote every movie to each other. We didn't quote every TV show to each other. So it's just what I believe about the future, and everybody will find that thing. And it's hard to predict, saying, it's like, all right, I don't have any American Chopper cards. I better get some of that stuff. In my
I don't know if the kids are into American Chopper. I wouldn't invest.
Not clamoring for the Paul Tuttle Senior auto and
I could be
T-shirt
wrong.
relic card, but
could be playing on iPads across the nation right now.
What was not Paul Jr.? Who was the other brother?
Mikey.
Mikey.
Should have known that. I should have known that. But yes, maybe we're going to be going for. But listen, there's just so many ways to go, and that's why I think like true collecting, that's why non-sports is so much fun, because you can go to this speculative route, and there are high-end stuff. Like I don't own any of the 66 Batman or the 1940 Superman. Like again, we talked about collection shaming. It's like, I know guys with non-sports cards, when they look at my collection, they just laugh at me. Like, you don't have an Alfred Hitchcock from whatever. And I'm like, I didn't know that existed, and I'm totally fine not knowing that it existed. But, I don't know. I have so much fun with it, and that I'm so excited to talk to other people that have fun with it. And like we were talking about how it's why I think it's growing, and will we see the invasion of the sports card people? It's like, yes, I am the invasion of the sports card people, but in a like I think a positive way. I don't want to say a good way, but a positive way in a sense that like I try to be respectful of it. Like we can have the angel and the devil on our shoulders. Like we can be the angel of the purist collector and the devil of, hey, I'd like to make a profit. Like you can have 2 thoughts in your head at one time. It's people overlook that. They think like you either need to be a purist or you're a flipper. And like that's just not how it works.
Mike, I think that's that's kind of a great summary of where you're coming from and what your channel is all about. Which it's plugged in and there's a link down here. It's not sports cards. It's easy to find. You've got the algorithm locked down, right? At least when I search it, not sports cards, you show up, which is an accomplishment.
If only if it were non-sports cards. There's only the thing. Yeah, you have to shut me up because it's like I mentioned before. I did a live stream last week. It was the first time we tried it. It went 6.5 hours. So like I always say though, you guys at least have each other. right? So you can like fire it up and be like, all right, BC, all right, Adam, like, let's talk about cards. Anybody in my life I try to talk cards with, they're like, just turn yourself around and go into the other room. Anytime somebody talks about it with me, like they're doing my family a service.
Well, I'll say, we don't have a lot of guests. You're I think, the first hobby guest that we have had. We'd love to have you back in the future so we can continue our conversations on what is happening and what's going on in the trading card world. It's been thoroughly enjoyable talking to you about all this stuff and getting to know you, talking about your collection, seeing some of your sweet cards. You've shown me a lot of stuff off your desk. I shared my Captain America. Do you have a go-to card on your desk right now that's like, this is the one I got to check out daily, that gives me a little grin?
This is. I mean, I'll show you the two. These are my two cards, and that's because one you can kind of throw out. I'll show you the first one because it's a weird one. This is Pedro Pascal's real rookie card. Okay, and it's numbered out of 150. You can't buy them. It's from Game of Thrones season 4.
I didn't realize people look that dapper in Game of Thrones. Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean he's an amazing guy.
He's a sharp-looking dude.
Yeah, he's a good-looking man.
At the end, he's not. Am I right? But but by the end, he looks a little worse for the wear.
Yes, certainly. And the other one is the Cassian. This is the card.
That's awesome.
This is the card that outside my Westbrook collection I won't sell. This is out of 50. Like there is supposedly another. There's like a 10. Like if somebody has a PSA 10, but I don't care. Like that's the card that you couldn't pry out of my collection. I mean, listen, everything's for sale outside of my dog. But yeah, that's my card. I have a bunch of Russell Westbrook cards that are on my desk, but those are just like, those aren't for sale. I have a Russell Westbrook 101 that rookie card that has, I don't even, but that is the card that means the most to me. It was I told you guys, my dog was born on December 8th. The auction ended on December 8th. It was the most I've ever spent on a card. And it was just like one of those things where it was meant to be. And it's not, I don't even know if it's worth any money. It's just, yeah. So, I mean, I have a rotating in my office, but lately the Cassian just sits there. So that's my card.
I'm a little jealous of that. Yeah, and shout out to Russ.
Well, Russ is my dog that passed away. Albert is my current dog. Albert is walking around my office right now like, I'm going to poop in here. You don't shut up.
Yeah, and I know from our analytics, our listeners or our viewers are going to get out of here. That's the only reason I'm trying to wrap it up. Their attention span is about the 10-minute mark.
Well, what I'll tell you guys about the analytics is that the same amount of people that I've seen, the same amount of people leave in the first 10 minutes, everybody else stays to the end. And maybe that's helped me a little bit. And every time I go along on my show, I'm like, if anybody's still listening, I feel bad for you. And then there are always those people that are like, they'll tell me what I was talking about in the last minute. So it's I'm not as hip to the YouTube algorithm. My idea is more of like, I talk till I run out of gas. And, but listen, let's do it again. I'm going to post my part of this, before, obviously, I'm going to do part 1 on my channel. It should come out. Well, it'll come out right now, folks. Actually, no, it'll come out last week because you're watching the second part on the Cargo Bay pod. So,
yeah, and you're here on a Thursday. Hopefully, that's when we put out our videos. If you're, I'm
going to put mine out tomorrow, or either tomorrow or Saturday. So I
give them the cliffhanger. I like it.
It just comes down to like I was building the thumbnail when we had a few extra minutes to start, so I came close to finishing the thumbnail.
Sorry about that. I was late. For the record, I was late to this conversation, so apologies.
And we've been mad at you ever since.
And we were supposed to go an hour, and we've now been talking for 2. So that's definitely my fault. I take all the air out of the room quite often. But yeah, again, guys, thanks for. I really want to say, like, heart-held, whatever that I was supposed to say is like a heartfelt. Like, thank you for responding. I've reached out to other people on YouTube, and they're like, I don't care how small or how big you are. We're all human beings. Like, if I reach out you get back to me and you're like, hey, we'll do it in a few weeks. And you know how I responded. I was just like, awesome. Whatever you guys need, whenever we can do it. And I just think that's great. And I hope that we get to do this again in the future, and that a jabillion people start watching your channel. That's all I hope for.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you so much for being kind to us, and thanks so much for coming on the show. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and
absolutely.
We'll still be talking about Star Wars over here, and we'll be listening to you talk about Star Wars over there.
Yeah, and whenever you need me, just whisper those words. I've got a bad feeling about this.
All right, cargo babies.
That's your personal bad signal.
We'll catch you next time. Bye forever for now.
Good
See you
night,
later,
guys.
all.